My name is Crystal Mowry, and I'm the Senior Curator here at the Kitchener-Waterloo Art Gallery. In our previous video on Deanna Bowen's Black Drones in the Hive, we focused on one work in particular, the 1911 Anti-Creek Negro Petition, a work which provides troubling insight on how racist policies are woven into a national fabric. This work is one of many aspects of Deanna's project that are drawn from public archives. In fact, over 100 individual images and objects comprise this project, and that doesn't account for the numerous works from KWAG's own permanent collection that also make an appearance. From the moment we walk through the gallery doors, Deanna Bowen introduces us to references and themes that will reappear throughout the exhibition, either as quoted images or as analogies.
The show starts with what I think are two significant and always present tropes around Black bodies and representation and reality. One is that of Black death via this pictorial of the death of Uncle Tom. And on the other side is this other trope of resurrection after death. Ironically enough. And so really it's a cycle, the reality of like what could possibly be in reality, could happen for the Black body is a cycle of death.
One image shows us a political illustration by Thomas Nast that hints at the horrors of slavery and projects a dignified post-emancipation future for a hypothetical Black American family. It's worth noting in this image that the family is gathered around a stove bearing a symbolic Union brand, a not-so-subtle suggestion that gathering around the Union cause would promise sustenance and protection. The other image shows us a postcard bearing a hand-colored image from a theatrical production of Uncle Tom's Cabin. Written by Harriet Beecher Stowe in 1852, Uncle Tom's Cabin introduces into popular culture a number of problematic tropes, namely that of a tragic Black existence that is both benevolent and servile. Curiously, the first mention of Uncle Tom in Beecher Stowe's novel is also the first mention of a technology that was radically transforming portraiture and politics the world over: photography. At this table was seated Uncle Tom, Mr. Shelby's best hand, who, as he is to be the hero of our story, we must daguerreotype for our readers. He was a large, broad-chested, powerfully made man of a full glossy black and a face whose truly African features were characterized by an expression of grave and steady good sense, united with much kindliness and benevolence. There was something about his whole air, self-respecting and dignified, yet united with a confiding and humble simplicity. While Beecher was recognized as an abolitionist, it's hard to revisit this text more than 150 years after it was published. It's hard to read her two-dimensional descriptions of Black characters without questioning what values underline her support for emancipation. Characters like Tom are often described as naturally submissive, physically strong, and with excessive faith, as though their humanity might be a state obtained through religion, hard work, and sacrifice. Uncle Tom, however, was a real man named Josiah Henson, a man who had lived to write and publish his autobiography years before it would be read and eclipsed by Beecher Stowe's version. Born into slavery on a Maryland farm in 1789, Henson escaped to freedom in Ontario, where he lived an accomplished life as a military officer, a minister, and founder of Dawn, a Black settlement in Ontario. For Black Drones in the Hive, Deanna Bowen has gathered various objects in the gallery, including a copy of Beecher Stowe's Key to Uncle Tom's Cabin, a follow-up to the successful novel in which Beecher Stowe gathers various factual details to substantiate her narrative. Alongside this book, we see plates featuring images inspired by the novel, or in one case, the flora that can be found in Dresden, Ontario, the town where Josiah eventually settled. Together, these objects read more like the collectible souvenirs that enable some semblance of history to have a tangible presence in a domestic space, and less like a true commemoration of Josiah Henson's survival.
I think it's important to understand this exhibition, and probably, every exhibition for a good long time that I've produced, is I'm working with white archives. What that means is that I am working with documents, archival materials, photographs, ephemera, that are written by white people, about Black people, for white people. What these images, what these documents kind of speak to is a kind of a translation of Black experience that by no means actually is an articulation of Black experience. All of this stuff, if we again consider these collections, these institutions, these museums, all of those kind of imperialist colonizer kind of spaces, they are effectively the scrapbooks of imperialism. Imperialists. And so knowing that this institution, not directly, but certainly socially via a network of white people that are all connected socially, certainly in places like the Arts and Letters Club, right? They're all kind of participating and manifesting visuals that satisfy their own needs and purpose, right? All of this is what's happening here. And so it matters to keep that in the back of your mind. And what's helpful about that is from there, you can rearrange these things that they collect for folly, that I think are, humorous for, the satisfaction of a particular political strategy, X, Y, Z, these things that fascinate them. This is what we're working through. And if you keep that in mind, then you better understand the gaze that constructs the archives that we're trying to reorganize and create.
In our next video, we're going to look at how eugenics and interrupted forms of inheritance are suggested in various image constellations throughout the main gallery portion of Deanna's exhibition. Black Drones in the Hive remains on view at KWAG until the end of February 2021.